The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks very much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about a journey that the AP team at Inchcape have been through and finding out how, by digitising some of their key controls, they are able to overcome some of the challenges that they were facing. And at the moment, while we're all still in the throes of remote working, being able to have increased visibility via automation is a vital part of business continuity. So this morning, we're going to be hearing from Lindsay Roberts and Nicola Roberts from the Finance and AP team, and some of the challenges and solutions that they found. We're also going to be hearing from Daniel Kimpton from statementmatching.com, who'll discuss how the solution helped them achieve some of their key objectives. So just before I do hand you over, you do have the opportunity to ask any questions as they come to you throughout the webinar this morning, and you just need to add those into the chat function in your GoToWebinar panel, and you should be able to see that over on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you tap any questions in that you have, and then we'll address those questions at the end of this morning's session. So at that point, if I could hand over to Nicola.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Nicola Roberts. I'm a programme manager at Inchcape, and I was involved in the implementation of statement matching. My colleague's on as well, Lindsay Roberts, who's the head of AP. So she's kind of effectively the customer of this product, and has a large team that are using this now in earnest to kind of help support the processes within the team. So to start with, I'll just explain kind of who are Inchcape. So globally, we are a distribution and retail leader in the premier and luxury automotive sector. We are present in 33 national markets. In the appendix, I've put a document just to show the markets that we're in. We've successfusly internationally traded for 170 years, and that's across new and used vehicles and retail operations. So we have an online presence, or you can kind of visit the kind of standard retail centres that you'll be familiar with. Within the UK, just wait for the slide to catch up. So within the UK, we partner with 7 brands, so Audi, Volkswagen, BMW Mini, Mercedes Smart, Jaguar Land Rover, Toyota Lexus and Porsche. We also have a fleet division that's ordered across the corporate hubs. We have a network of contact centres and finance centres, and we have a head office based in Solihull. So the finance centres are the team that are using this product. So the finance centre is made up of roughly 140 people. We've got 30 people in our general accounting team. There's 80 people within our accounts payable team, so that's Lindsay Roberts' team. We've got 26 people in the accounts receivable team, and then we've got a small robotics team, so we've got 4 people within our robotics team. So I'll just hand across to Lindsay now, and she's going to explain the challenges that we've had within our AP processes and kind of what's led us to implementing statement matching.
Thanks, Nicola. Good morning, everybody. So our structure and process. The accounts payable team is split over 2 locations, while both being managed by myself. Documents can be sent to site instead of accounts payable, or require manually downloading from supplier or OEM portals. Inputs required from site finance dealerships, which can be late, inaccurate, causing delays and rework. For example, vehicle stockbook records not being created prior to the invoice processing. Different types of document are processed in 3 main ways. This can be within the same suppliers, but for different types of spend, for example, registered or batch input, against a vehicle stockbook record, or posted to a nominal. Timescales for invoice processing to approval are too long, manual payment process, and many ad hoc payment runs. Our challenges for technology, 80% manual entry of all documents, hence the size of the team. Our ERP software has little or no automation in place or interaction with other software. There is little or no automation within the accounts payable process. There are a few types of invoices processed with RPA technology and OCR. However, this is a very small percentage of the overall volume. Very little or no reporting in terms of the following. So documents at each stage of the process, time taken. Sorry about that, somebody just move the slide forward. Okay, time taken to process documents with details at each stage of the process, productivity, consolidated view of suppliers across all brands. Coupa has recently been implemented to automate the issuing of purchase orders and associated purchase invoices only for overheads and sublet spend, and this is a different process for the accounts payable team. A little bit on volumes now, so approximately 2,000 non-OEM supplier accounts. They're our standard suppliers. These are the same accounts set up across all brands, and approximately 2,000 OEM supplier accounts. And the number of true OEM accounts are low in volume. However, each have many accounts for the type of transactions and invoices, e.g. parts, warranty and funding. Approximately 50,000 invoices processed per month across all suppliers. OEM invoices are complex and very high in terms of content per invoice, and they can include hundreds of lines per invoice every day. They also include AR and AP transactions with a single daily net payment. I'll now hand over to Nicola, who's going to talk through some of the requirements and solution for you.
Thanks, Lindsay. So the previous issues, so before we had statement matching, the team were using a manual Excel template. So the issues that we had with that, it was difficult to determine if the suppliers had all been reconciled annually. So we have an internal audit control which requires us to reconcile all suppliers annually. But as they were all individual spreadsheets, it was difficult to keep track of that. Because of those individual documents, there was no visibility of the problems we were encountering. So the type of issues that kind of across all our suppliers we should be looking to resolve, we were looking at kind of reconciliations individually. So again, that gave kind of no overall visibility of the status of the completed reconciliations. It also allowed human error and inconsistencies, so people could interpret those reconciliations differently or apply different statuses. Okay, so we had a set of requirements. So when we started talking to Dan and statement matching, we had our kind of key requirements. So the first one being that we wanted an automated supplier reconciliation to be performed, remove that manual effort from the team. We needed it to have a daily load of open items across all of our brands, so to be able to deal with our brand complexity from our ERP system. We needed to be able to view the brands individually, but also be able to view our supplier accounts across all brands. We wanted to be able to have kind of consistent categories so that we remove that issue that we had with human error. We were using consistent categories and flagging issues. We wanted to be able to load statements in different formats because we get our statements provided to us in different formats. Based on our account structure and the way that we receive the statements, we needed to be able to reconcile based on one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one or many-to-many account structure and supplier statements. We also needed to identify our key accounts. So again, we have another internal control where we have to reconcile our key accounts monthly. So we needed somewhere that we could record that status. We also wanted visibility of the accounts that hadn't been reconciled. And then finally, we needed dashboard visibility of the reconciliations that we completed. So I've put that one down as amber. We are using the dashboard functionality in the software that exists at the moment, and we're kind of using Excel to record some of the items that we need as well. But we're working with Dan just to kind of go round kind of some of the extra requirements that we're looking for on that. I don't know if that's not moved on. Let me try again. Okay. So in terms of the solution that we've got in place, so we've put an auto forward on our supplier statements mailbox. So we are sending all of our statements straight directly across to a statement matching email address. If anything, because we can't kind of necessarily control what comes through and what formats are sent to us, if there's anything that we send that's incorrect, we get an email back to us to resolve that. So if, for example, it comes across as in HTML, we can then amend that and send that back in either an Excel or PDF format. We can also give the suppliers, and we have given certain suppliers the statement matching email address so that they can send statements in directly and they don't have to be filtered through us. The team now have regular reviews of the software, so because statements are being loaded every day, there's a process within the team for them to kind of regularly check the statements that have been produced, and then they go through and complete those within the system. So the team are checking for any outstanding errors, and they would then kind of contact the suppliers if they need to check to get copy invoices or kind of whatever it is that they need, and then work through that reconciliation until they're kind of happy that they've completed it, and they then change that status to complete. So once that status is complete, then it stops, the reconciliation stops updating with our daily feed from our ERP system. We then, so just mentioned that dashboard visibility, so we can see the reconciliations that have completed. We've got an Excel tracker at the moment that the team then fill in with regards to the key accounts, and then it gets sent across to the AP management to sign, and we're using DocuSign so that we can hold that for our internal audit requirements. But like I say, we're talking with statement matching about our the requirements that we have on that. So in summary, so the kind of the top three requirements and solutions that we've had. So the first being that we needed automated production of the reconciliations. So we wanted to remove that kind of non-value add process of the team outputting data from our ERP system, copying in data from a statement and manually producing a reconciliation. So we have that. So as I explained, we've got the auto forward on from our mailbox. We have a daily feed from our ERP system that sends across our supplier master data and our open items. And then we've got the software does the automatic creation of the reconciliations ready for us to review and complete. The second key challenge is the visibility of the key accounts and the latest statement reconciliation. So in statement matching, there's a field called critical vendor. So we have used that and kind of added that marker on all of our key accounts so that we can identify who our key accounts are. There's also a field called accounting clerk. And so because Lindsay's got such a large team and there's such a lot of people performing these reconciliations, on our key accounts, we have added in the names of the accounting clerks who have the responsibility to complete those reconciliations. So we've used those two fields for the team to be able to search for accounts that they have to reconcile monthly. And then obviously the dashboard that exists within the software shows the latest reconciliation dates on those accounts. The final key challenge was our internal audit compliance. So we have requirements that we need to fulfill And so we now can produce evidence that those reconciliations have been completed. Every reconciliation that gets created has a unique reference, so we're recording that in our tracker, and then our internal audit would be able to go into that software and review the reconciliation that's taken place, and see that it's been marked as complete, and see when it was marked and who it was marked by, as evidence that we're meeting our internal audit requirements. Okay, so that's the end of the main element of the presentation. I mentioned earlier that we've got the just a diagram here of the markets that we exist in case anybody wanted to look at that. So that's everything finished for myself and Lindsay. So it's over to you then, Dan, please.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Lindsay. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Daniel Kimpton from Statement Matching. So what I was going to do was just use a bit of the time to show you the system, basically. So I've got some screenshots so that you can see where you would land as a user, and I'll show you some examples of reconciliations. So we'll look at we've got some missing documents, how we can share reports with suppliers, and then really just follow up the process. I've got one slide on who we are. So the kind of background of the whole thing was we've been implementing invoice automation solutions since 2005, and we had a lot of success with that. And what we found was a lot of customers were saying, right, we've done invoice automation, that's great, but we've now got more people actually reconciling statements because it's a manual process. So it was really, so the development of statement matching from the start was really driven by people in accounts payable, people who have to do it as a day job. And that's still how we drive development today. So obviously we're talking to Inchcape about some stuff that they want around dashboards, which is going to be a change for us this year. And really everything that we do from a development point of view is driven by you, the users. And we probably got 70 odd customers now globally, and they're all over the world because it's cloud-based, so it's very easy to kind of set up. And we've also branched out as well. So statement matching is the core solution, which we're going to look at, but you can also give suppliers access. So you give suppliers access, they can see their invoices, the statuses, the due dates for payment and so on. They can also see the payments, they can click a payment and view the invoices that are in the payment, and then submit messages as well, which would go into your inbox that you use for queries. And if you can get suppliers to do it, it's never easy to get suppliers to do something new, but you can enable suppliers to upload their own statements and actually reconcile their own account. So that's like the grail. And then the other side of it is we've got a solution for doing duplicate checking. So it uses the same database as statement matching, so there's no additional setup, but it gives you configurable duplicate reports, and the idea is to use it on a preventative basis. So you would go in, the report that you look at today would contain potential duplicates from the previous day, and you either dismiss them because maybe there's a corresponding credit, or in fact it is a duplicate and I'm going to stop that now and prevent duplicates. So yeah, we've been, and again, that was all kind of driven by customers, and this is some of the customers that we've got. You can't fit lots of them on a slide, but they're all in different industries, different sizes, and we've got lots of customer content on our website if you wanted to go and look at more on there. But I'll give you an overview of the solution. So when you log in, you come to a nice happy place, lots of bright colours, and this is like your overview screen. And the way the system works is like Nicola and Lindsay said, is we get an update file every day from our customers. Every day that we get new data, it keeps updating the statements, and it keeps updating the statuses as well. And to get new statements in the system, you know, Excels, you just forward them on, they get imported automatically. Same with the PDF statements. And then on the right-hand side, where it says statement header, when it reconciles a statement, it gives each one a status. So I've got some on my system which are fully matched. So that means all of the invoices are on your system and there are no errors at all. So people like those, you know, there's no exceptions to chase up. So people would share a copy of the report to the supplier to say, I've reconciled your statement, I've got all of your invoices, and here's the due dates for payment and so on. And then the fully matched with data mismatch. So that means that you've got all the invoices, but there are differences. So for example, if you look at the section underneath statement lines, I've got some where the amounts are different. Invoice numbers, invoice dates, you know, these could be keyed in incorrectly, or it could be an OCR issue. And a bigger issue is where you've got invoices and credits the wrong way round. So it could be a credit on the statement, but you've got it on your ERP system as an invoice. So you want to go and investigate and resolve those. And then the other status is I've got unpaid items missing on statement. So that means that I've got invoices that are on the ledger that are not on the statement. So this is where my postings could be, they could be duplicates as well. And then really everyone's number one priority is the one at the bottom, incomplete matching. So that means that you've got invoices, credits that are on the statement, but they're not on the ledger. And they're really the ones you want to follow up to make sure that they pay suppliers on time and to make sure their liabilities are accurate. So what you can do is there's different ways to select your statements. Now from the dashboard, which I've got on the screen here, you know, you can select it based on the type of error that you want to follow up first. So a lot of people are interested in missing credits. You know, I can just run a report that gives me a list of statements where I've got missing credits and then go and follow them to kind of do them in a sequence. But in a shared service environment, you know, people are typically you know, maybe split by country. They might be responsible for certain legal entities within the country, and maybe different suppliers based on the alphabet, for example. So you get a selection screen where you can put criteria in. You might only work on critical suppliers. If you're a more senior accounts payable clerk, you might just look at criticals, and if you're more junior, you may exclude criticals. But if I hit search, it's going to give me a list of statements. And once I'm on this screen, I can sort them again. You know, I might want to sort them by statement value, for example, or statement date. But if I select a statement from the list, it basically shows me the reconciliation. So this is the kind of main screen that you would spend most of your time on as a user. So on the left of the green tick, that's the supplier statement data, and to the right of the green tick is the data from your ERP system. So, you know, you can see a lot of documents are matched on it, but there is a credit that's missing about halfway down, and there's an invoice that's missing at the bottom. So what you can do is, I would want to contact the supplier at this point to basically request the missing documents. So there's different ways to do it. Now you can download a report to your own desktop and send it from your own email system, or you can email the supplier from statement matching. So the email from address would be one of your email addresses. So it comes from you. The email address we also get from the vendor records, so that you can see it's put one in here for me on the email too. And then I put a nice message, you know, to please send me a copy, love from AP, which you would do, you know, when you work in accounts. And you can either send a copy of the full report, so that shows everything, what's matched, missing, or you can send a report just showing what's missing, you know, because you might, you know, want to, I mean, most people do send the full report to suppliers because it's a big benefit, because the idea of it is not just to request missing documents, but is actually to give them all the information that they need, that they would normally be ringing you up or submitting a query to your email inbox. And you can also download the same report to Excel. You know, some people like Excel because it's what we're all used to. But I'm going to show you the PDF. So this is what the PDF looks like, which the supplier would see. So it gets branded with the company logo in the top left of the screen. And then you can see for the documents that are missing, I'm telling the supplier to please send a copy to this email address. So I'm giving them a nice clear instruction. Also for the supplier, I'm sharing the status of the documents. So the documents that are matched, I've got some that are ready to pay, I've got some that are in process, some that are paid. I'm giving them due dates for payment, or the one that's paid, there's a payment date and also a payment references. And the status description is kind of up to you. So this is what I've got set on my demo system. And I'm using in process as a catch-all. You know, that could be workflow, it could be an error, could have a block on it. But I don't want to tell the supplier that. I just want to say that, yeah, I've got it and it's in process. But this is, you know, customizable based on what your requirements are. So if I go to the system, now what I would want to do, and what we train people to do, is add notes in the system. Because if I request the copy from the supplier, I want to maybe follow that up at the end of the month to make sure that the supplier has sent the invoice and the missing credit. Maybe next month I get a new statement from the supplier and I want to see, well, actually I requested these documents last month because they were missing on the statement from the previous month. So what you can do is actually add notes on the system against the statement lines. And because I've got two documents that are missing, you can actually add a note against the lines in bulk kind of thing. So you can say, you know, both lines that are missing, I want to add a note. And we've also got something called user status as well. So you can see on my drop down on this screenshot, I've got things like problem vendor. You know, I might have vendors where there's always issues. I'm going to mark them up as a problem, and then someone else that looks at improvements is going to pick those up and go and look at, well, what's the root cause? Why is this supplier always got the same issue? But I can mark this one up as I've requested a copy. And then if I go back to the search page that we were looking at before, once the screen refreshes, I think it was me, I didn't press the button that time. If you look on the search screen in the kind of middle section on the right, I can actually search by user status. So if I get to the end of the month and I want to follow up the statements where I've requested a copy, I can just select them and I can see, just looking at the list here, I've got one that's fully matched. So that means that the supplier has sent the missing document, it's come in, and statement matching has updated the statement to be fully matched. So I know that there's not a problem with that money. But the other two are incomplete. So that means that I've requested them, but the supplier's just ignored it. Right, if we go back to the listing, I'm just going to show you another couple of examples. So what we've got with some of the statements is if you get big statements where you have, you know, hundreds of lines on them, you know, it only displays either 10, 25 or 100 rows on a screen, because otherwise the web page would be too big. So what you can actually do is put a filter on to only show the documents that are in error. So you can see there's about 1,000 invoices in this statement, and I've just put a filter on, and it just shows me the documents that I need to work on. You can see, you know, I've got some where if you look on the first line, I've got an invoice amount is incorrect. It's 105.78 on the statement side on the left, and then on the right hand side, you can see it's on your ledger with an extra 1, so it's $1,000 higher. And the second line on this example is a credit on the statement, but it's on your ledger as an invoice. So that's a really big problem. And then I've got some more where the dates are different and the amounts are wrong. So what customers would do as a process is they would fix these on their ERP system, and then we would get the changes in the daily file, and these would all turn into matched lines once you fix them. Or they'll stay in error, and hopefully you fix them next time. So just waiting for the screen to refresh. I'm just going to show you one more example. I just wanted to show you one where I've got documents that are on the ledger but not on the statement. So this is, I've kind of put a red box around the section at the bottom. So this is where we display any invoices that are on the vendor's account unpaid, but they're not on the vendor's statement. So in this scenario, this is probably a duplicate. If you know, it's a regular amount that we get from this supplier dated in February. Whereas if you look at the statement, the top section, all of the invoices are between March and April. So I just wanted to show that, you know, you can spot duplicates using this system as well, and that's one example. From a reporting perspective, we've got lots of reports. You can see, you know, how many statements that you've received on a monthly basis from how many vendors, what the values were. You can also put your statements based on the type of error that you want to follow up. So missing credits, I mentioned earlier. You might want to follow up missing credits, followed by missing invoices, and debits and credits the wrong way. So you can kind of work through them in a sequence. One of the reports that lots of customers use is the critical supplier report. So that's where you can see which of your critical suppliers has not sent a statement this month, because you may want to, it might be mid-month, you might want to chase them up because the manager will want to see that all of the statements have been set to complete by the end of the month. So I'm not going to click on any of the reports, but we've got an audit report. So most of you get audited by the same people every year, or the same audit firms, and you have to produce audit reports to show that you've done reconciliations and show whether there's a difference between the ledger and the statement. So we've got the same thing on statement matching, which kind of meets the audit requirements for, you know, PwC, EY, KPMG, and so on. If you want to try statement matching for yourselves, we always think it's best to see it with your data. So we do offer a proof of concept. You can give us data for up to 10 suppliers. You could just download it into Excel. Send us the statements as well, which can be Excel, PDF, or scanned images. We'll load them in a system and then set up a training session, which takes about an hour. We go through all of the results and explain what all the options are, and then just give you access for 4 weeks. And, you know, we have follow-up calls to kind of go through any issues and, you know, give you additional training. But it's a way to, you know, do some due diligence and make sure it works for your organisation. I'm not going to go too much into pricing, but it's just there's no upfront cost. It's a fixed monthly fee based on annual transaction volumes, and there's also a per statement charge. But there's no upfront costs or no setup costs or anything. So it's very easy. So that's enough for me. I want to leave some time for questions. So thank you for listening, and I'll hand back to Alan for questions.
Thanks very much, Dan. Thanks for going through all of that with us, and I hope everybody on the webinar this morning has found that useful. And also, obviously, thanks very much to Nicola and Lindsay from Inchcape. So, I mean, if you've got other questions, please do feel free now to type those in while I'm going through the ones that we do have. And of course, if you've got any that you want to put forward to us privately, then just do email to me at ellen.leith@p2pnetwork.org, and we can get those answered for you. But in the meantime, we have had a question in for, and I guess it would be for either you, Nicola, or Lindsay. Someone's wanting to know, how long did it take to train the team? And I guess that means on the solution.
Shall I go with that one, Nicola?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, not that long actually. It's quite an easy system to use. As you could see from some of the screens there that you was being shown from Dan, it really is quite self-explanatory when you go in there and you're moving around. So we had a couple of hour training sessions, which covered absolutely everything from end to end, which was really useful. We also do some mini training sessions with our own team just to kind of remind them certain things as they've started to use it. But obviously we've got a big team at Inchcape, and the majority of the team that are using it are all absolutely fine with it. So it's not a big training program at all. It's really, really
That's
quite
great.
easy to use.
Makes all the difference, doesn't it, if you want to, to actually get people on and using the solution. And somebody else has also asked, how much, I don't know how easy this is to answer, how much time do you think the solution has saved?
That is a difficult one for Inchcape, that actually, because what we found before, we got so far behind with a couple of restructures, we just stopped reconciling statements. And so, you know, there was an urgent need to get this software in, because we were sinking very fast, and it really has helped us with that. So it is quite a difficult one to answer, really, I'm afraid. Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's okay. And then another question, I think probably more for you, Dan, is does the solution work with any ERP system?
Yes, it does work with any ERP system. Inchcape is obviously auto line, but we've got customers using everything from SAP and Oracle and Dynamics, you know, the more usual ones. But then, yeah, Lawson, PeopleSoft. I think we've even got some people on the old, you know, green screen things like, you know,
right,
AS400
okay.
and yeah,
Wow.
so anything.
Okay, well, that's great. So those are all the questions that we've had at the moment. But as I said, if you do have anything else that you want to ask Nicola, Lindsay, or Dan, or you can ask anything from me as well, then please feel free to email me afterwards, and we can get those answers to you. We have had a couple of questions about the slides, and yes, we will send those out to you, and the recording will come out to you automatically. So everybody who's registered for the webinar today will automatically get a recording sent out to you, and we'll also send you the slides. So all that's left now is to say thanks very much again to Nicola and Lindsay from Inchcape for a fantastic presentation, and also to Dan for his. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Very sunny here. I hope it is wherever you are. And thanks very much for joining us, and we hope to see you all soon. Okay, thanks very much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.